Good evening, everyone. Channels of my spirit open up. No limitation, no stagnation. Forward ever, backward never. Good evening, everyone. We are so privileged once again to jam each other, to have ourselves to rub minds. We rub our small mind with great minds, and our minds becomes big. And that's, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tonight we are talking about being sex-wise as parents. Anytime I talk about sexuality, especially in raising our children, I get deeply emotional because everything that has to do with human being is all encapsulated in sexuality. A lot of people don't know that the life they're living today, its foundation is based on their sexuality. The choices they make in marriage, in association, it is just their sexuality that pull them to that kind of a person. It's a law of attraction, and that's why we cannot but deal with this matter if you're going to be sex-wise as parents. And I'm saying this again, I will say it over and over and over again, that as parents, you can't afford to miss it. The moment you miss it, that is the end of everything. It's going to affect your health. It's going to affect your wealth. It's going to affect your happiness. And of course, your future, your old age. So there's no price that is too high to pay and paid to do everything to make sure that your kids are well nurtured, their lives are well preserved, their spirit is clean, or else it's just going to be struggle all the way. And the moment a child's sexuality is damaged, that child is an accident that is about to happen in all spheres of life, especially in their relationship. So we are looking at being sex-wise as parents, your child's sexuality and her or his self-esteem. If you can help me to write it, I will appreciate it. Your child's sexuality and his or her self-esteem. My child's sexuality and her self-worth. My child's sexuality and his self-worth. I need to start by letting you know that the worth of your child, the value that you place on your child, will determine your child's exposure to her sexuality or to his sexuality. So the issue of self-esteem cannot be overflowed. And I'm going to say this with all sense of integrity and dignity. We are starting Dynamic Women Parenting on the 25th of March. It's a webinar, so you can't tell me I'm not in Nigeria, I'm not where you are. It's not going to be physical. It's a virtual classes. We're going to do 8 major courses. Thank you. My child's sexuality and her self-worth. Now, it's going to be on a webinar. It's going to give us light. It's going to help us to raise our children to an extent that whatever happens, you are very sure that you are stable. Your kids are going to make you proud. They're not going to lose it. They're not going to lose their virtue. They're not going to lose their values. Whatever you put in them, they will play it back to life. And that is the joy of everyone in old age. And by the grace of God, I've hung around this terrain for a very long time. So I know what I'm saying. I understand what I'm talking about as I know my name. Let me start with some of these struggles. Parents, your child's self-esteem is loaded in the fact that that child is believed in, hope against hope. I've seen parents that are damaged, frustrated because their marriage is not working, and before they know it, they keep lashing out on their children, lashing out on their maids, lashing out on everybody that surrounds them, their driver, people that are working with them. They kept releasing the venom of what is happening on the inside. Let me say it again and again and again. If you have anything killing you on the inside of you, pour it out. Vent with someone. Don't die in silence. Onboarding to someone. When I say onboarding to someone, I mean let it out. Let out the steam. Belch it out. Vomit it out. If you don't, it can end up giving you a terminal disease, from cancer to ulcer to blood pressure to all sorts of physical ailments. Why? Because we are not wired to bottle up. We are not wired to internalize anything and everything. I've had the privilege of ministering to people that struggles with their sexuality. I'm a sexual addiction therapist. In one of my fields of, trying to help people, I've asked questions. One of the things we do is to crack you, to get to the root of your life struggle, to know what's going on, what has happened, what is, happening in your life. And before you know it, everyone that has, I was somewhere, let me give you this practical example. I was somewhere in a camp. I was told to come and minister to the prostitutes and get them to know God and all of that. So at the end of the day, I was told to, definitely when we start such a therapy, what we do is we make people to tell us their story, the story of their childbirth and everything. And I began to ask them questions. And one of the things I learned in my training is very simple. You will ask every addict, tell me your family table, family system. How do you eat in the family? In some homes, some children don't go to eat. They don't go to eat together. There's no dining setting. Everybody out of frustration. They are not eating together on the table. Some of them will tell me, I go to eat in my room. Some will eat in the kitchen. Some actually, they will not pack their food, his or her food. You will just look for maybe leftovers from children and everybody and eat. So at the end of the day, those kids, they don't feel they belong to a family. They don't believe they are part of the system. So they kept living their lives like that until somebody outside stumbled on them, or they stumbled on someone and the person says, oh, I like you, you are beautiful. Wow. It's like a root shock. Beautiful. Where? I've never had that. And that will be the journey of their exposure, promiscuity, whatever you call it, to their sexuality. The moment somebody says that to them, they open up their heart. Of course, the person is a user, is a traitor, it's not really a genuine love. But at least for a child that has been starved of being validated, being appreciated, being told to his or her eyes, eye to eyeball, that you are handsome, you're beautiful, and somebody just say, I like you. That's the end. So whatever you are seeing in your life today is traceable. Every form of struggle, sexual struggle, is traceable to the foundation of your self-esteem. It starts from parenting. There is no sin in looking at your son and your daughter eyeball to eyeball and tell your son is handsome. Oh, you are beautiful. You are my queen. You are so beautiful. I like your dress. Now, don't tell me, well, it doesn't really matter. It matters. Now, we have different children with different temperaments. Some are thinkers, some are talkers, some are, an extrovert, some are an introvert in the class of a thinker and a talker. We have some that are introverted too. But still, every child wants to hear from the source of his life or her life, you are beautiful, you are intelligent, I like you. Those words goes a long way to build their worth and their values. And if you don't say it, and one person that does not worth your child, does not deserve your child, open his mouth or her mouth and say that to your child, they are gone. I've seen parents that have cried to me and telling me, I don't believe that this stupid boy went to marry in this stupid family. I've heard it very well. Or this stupid girl now got pregnant for this tout, this idiot. So, pardon me. Those were words I listened to from parents. And it's like, it's not your daughter's fault. Her sexuality is traceable to her self-esteem. She would take in anything because the father, the mother, the most important people in his or her life did not say you are beautiful. So whatever it is, when a child, a woman opens herself up to a man, there is an attraction from that man or from that woman. And one thing is words. If your child is someone that words gets into, and you've always tongue-lashed her, speak down on her, you are lazy, you are going to become a carpenter, as if carpenters are not human beings. You are going to end up being a slave. You are not going to do well. You keep killing them with words. Those words sit somewhere. Those negative words, we build something in them. I am good for nothing. I don't deserve anything best. I am not worth it. Whatever it is, anywhere, anyhow, let me just be with that guy. Let me just stay with that guy. It doesn't really matter. And before you know it, your child begins to choose from a very, very strong, truncated, I'm using those words intentionally, human being, lives that have been messed up too. So it will look like a law of attraction. And I'm saying this to everyone, listen to me. If you know that you are from a dysfunctional home and you are single, you are hearing me, do everything to get into therapy before you bring another life to your life. You're going to mess up that life you are bringing to your life because something went wrong when you are growing up. Please don't take it for granted. A lot of people, they don't even know the level of damage that those things had done to them until they are married. Unfortunately, when you are dysfunctionally, you naturally gravitate to a man or a woman that is dysfunctional. I have enough scriptures to back that up. Look at Isaac. Look at Rebecca. They were both from a dysfunctional home. Both of them. How do I mean? Abraham and Ishmael, they were having Abraham, Ishmael, Haggai, and Sarah, they were having issues at home. The issue of the fact that my son cannot be relating with this born boy, is a bastard, he's not a legal child, and blah, blah, blah. They began to have issues. And it got to a place, Abraham went to God and said, God, what do I do in this matter? I don't even know what to do. There's an issue going on here. And God said to Abraham, obey your wife. And he drove the woman away and her son. But the little time of conflict in the home of Abraham and Sarah had caused a damage to Isaac emotionally. Now, that is Isaac. In Genesis 24, Abraham told one of his choicest sons, please don't make sure that my son is not marrying here. Those girls here, they are not marriage materials. Meaning that Abraham was intentional about the covenant. He was intentional about destiny. He was intentional about the kind of a woman that will make a wife. And the servant of Abraham went with heavy intercession, praying. Abraham prayed with him. They entered an oath. That was deep. Very, very deep. And he was praying all the way. I pray the God of my father will give me a woman that will nurture my father, my spiritual father, and his wife in their old age. And he got to the well in Genesis 24. Now, the point I'm making tonight, please listen to my heart. I'm talking about your child's self-esteem and their sexuality. Now, Rebecca was a virgin. So don't tell me, oh, I married as a virgin. That does not make you functional. If your parents are not there, you are wondering what happened. Yes, as soon as Rebecca finished feeding 24 camels with water, the servant of Abraham asked you, whose daughter are you? Who raised you? You are unique. You are different. You don't understand when a woman came with a pitcher of water on her shoulders and she has manners. Can I give you a drink, sir? Courtesy is everything, is on point. So it's like, wow, you know, the lady wowed the servant of Abraham and asked her, I want to take your hand in marriage. And she said, no problem, let's go home. And they asked Rebecca, when are you going to your husband's house? She said, now. A lot of you rushed into marriage because of the dysfunctionality of your background, of your parents. You left home because you are tired of what you've seen with your parents. How can you ask a girl, if a girl is happy enjoying her dad and her mom and their home is blissful, we now ask you to want to get married and you say you are going now. Nobody talked like that. And before they knew it, they went home. When the father of Rebecca was going to give Rebecca out in marriage, it was her uncle. Where was the dad? That was a proper sign of a dysfunctional home. How could you handle the driver's seat of your life, where you are supposed to be the one that would chairman and be the best person that the whole world will say, wow, Rebecca is getting married, this is my dad on the high table. I don't even know, I'm not sure if Deborah's dad actually sat on the high table. It was the uncle that took charge. Toxic family system. And she left. You know the story. The marriage did not work because of her childhood esteem, childhood trauma, childhood experience. Listen to me and listen to me good. Do you know that most of the time when we are dealing with our baggages, it takes time for it to heal? You know why? It has been a long circle of merry-go-rounding, revolving, going around in circle of our shame, of our pain, of our trauma. It takes time. It takes a long time. You thought you are healed, another one will open up. You thought you are healed, another one will open up for a very long time before you now found rest. And that's why I said healing is like peeling an onion. It's a process. It takes time. Now, why must you now subject and subjugate your child to a low self-esteem because you are messed up? Now, you can't be crying over spilled milk. It has happened. But do everything to make sure that history does not repeat itself. And the only way out, take it to the bank, is getting into a therapy, get a counselor, open up your wound to someone for the first time in your life and let it go. If it's not going, it's not going. If it's not dead, you can't bury it. You can't bury it. The moment you know in your heart of hearts that this is an issue, don't deceive yourself. I talked about a monogamous home. Now, looking at Abraham and Isaac, it was a polygamous home. Look at thank you, healing is a process. It's time. Thank you. It takes time. Yes. Now, if you look into the life of Isaac, there was a dysfunctionality there. Coming back to the life of Rebecca, why did uncle give her out in marriage? That's marriage, they were not communicating at all. To an extent that they were going to pass the covenant. Now, let's look at how it started. For Rebecca was pregnant. She was looking for the fruit of the womb, and she went to ask God, and God said there are 2 nations in your womb. So she knew there were 2 nations in her womb. So why the party? Why the PDP 1, PDP 2? In Nigeria, we have different parties. One party, splitted into 3 or 4. So I was wondering why. It doesn't have to be, but because something went wrong at the beginning. The foundation has issues. Now listen to me. If the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? But I have a good news for you. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and is saved. When you get to a place of becoming the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus, there is safety. No matter how terrible, no matter how decayed, no matter how horrible is the background, if you continue to knit your life to your Creator, you continue to connect, you will find a place where your value is being restored, your self-esteem is being restored. You don't have to be in a clique to be unique, to be outstanding, to be different. You don't have to be in a clique to survive. You have to just know who you are, looking into the mirror of the word, and get your worth back. In the place of getting your worth back, you know your worth, you know who you are, you know whose you are, you know your worth, you are carrying your weight. So let's go back to your child's sexuality and her self-esteem. I just digressed into that because it came to my heart. Now, when you are raising your children and you are using their weaknesses to torment them, you are destroying their self-esteem. Look at your nose, look at your mouth, look at your leg. I'm not saying you should not correct your child, but do it in a way that You are not doing it out of anger. You are not nagging your child doing it, because sometimes a lot of parents, we speak in proverb when we're growing up. It's proverbial. Everything is proverbial. You expect them to understand the sign language. You expect them to understand the eye language, the body language. Now, if they don't get it, to smack them. Have you taught them before? You have to teach them, to confront them. Now, that's why a good parent will go out of their way. Maybe you went out for a party or to a party now, and you notice some of your child's excesses. Now, you will note them. Parenting is intentional. Parenting is dynamic. Parenting is deliberate. You note out those things not when you are angry and you feel disgraced, you feel embarrassed. That's the time you now come home and start beating and slapping the child. You are wicked. You are not sending the message home. The person is not getting, your daughter, your son is not getting the message. That's why you can only parent if you are matured. Please don't miss the dynamic parenting webinar. I'm going to be talking about parenting in maturity, because if you are not careful, you will just notice that your child becomes rebellious, especially if he's a strong-willed child. Another thing is, you need to know who your daughter or your son is. If you don't know them, you can't help them. It takes knowing your child to help that child to become the best that the child is wired to be in life. Do you know? It's so simple. If your child does something that is wrong outside, it is not that time you react. No, be noting it, because let me come this way. A child that is being beaten and tortured because of a behavior that is not normal, was that child taught growing up? A lot of parents want to bend and break a dry fish. You can't bend it, it's dry. You must start from the beginning, from the inception of their growth. Anything you notice, pen it down. It is a discussion for the quiet time. It's a discussion from where you are together. And when you are doing it, oh God, let me look for that scriptures. Do you know that the Bible says that you train your children? Sorry, I may be talking to mixed people, but we all have a tenet of faith that we believe. I'm sure your own holy book would also say the same thing, because any religion that does not talk about raising children is a waste of religion. It's a waste of time. You see people that are killing themselves in the name of religion now. It's the upbringing, is the training. Now, let me take you back to where I'm going. I said you are permitted to teach your children when you are going out, when you are coming in, at every incident, at every episode, at every point in time. So there'll be a recap. A recap when you come back from wherever you go. I've seen parents that now begin to embarrass their children and beat their children when they have visitors. Excuse me, it's not wise. You didn't taught her. She didn't know anything. She was not informed. She was just living a normal life. She was not doing a normal thing. Now, you are now reacting that maybe she was, pulling somebody's skirt, talking about sexuality, or touching another person's private part. Have you sat that child down to teach her all the parts of her body, the use of the parts of her body, what it is for, the time for it to be used, the time for that child to be exposed sexually? Have you done that? Some of us parents are just wicked. You are now, because they now messed up your ego and your self-esteem, and you feel bad that they are making you feel stupid. Is your self-esteem more, or your pride or your ego, is it more important than the lives of your children, that you're going to lose to drug addiction, you're going to lose to sex addiction, you're going to lose to anything, wrong choices, wrong relationship, in the name of your pride and your ego? Your child's self-esteem is important, and building it is by words, validation. Now look at the picture that we are being seen all over the world. Billboards, television, magazines. Do you know the way these pictures are imposed in the heart of our children makes them to feel that is the standard of beauty? I'm in the studio now. Oh, I have good lights here. I'm looking like this. This might not really be my look, and that's the truth without the light. I'm in the studio. So you can't assume, oh, that woman, that boy, that girl, that, 6 packs. Do you know they do photo shoot for 6 packs? They do makeover that everything will look prime and proper. And the challenge about the media is that they made you to feel that that is the standard, and that's how your kids, even adults, have similar peer pressure, thinking that, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. A lady must be slim, a lady must be, curvy, you have to have your statistics correct, which is not true. Those things are sometimes doctored. That is not the perfect beauty that every human being should have. Tell your daughter, let him know that he's handsome. There's something I want you to know. Now, these things I'm talking about, your children don't come home to tell you. How many of us have been here? I told you yesterday about my son that stammers, and they said they don't hear him when he talks. I said, tell them to listen very well. How many kids will come home and tell their mom, tell their dad that somebody called me nose? I was doing therapy for a young couple, premarital counseling and therapy for them before they got married. Their father actually paid for their therapy and said, "Ma, if I can't buy them a car, this is the best gift I'll give to counsel them." So I just noticed that the guy has his nose is quite big. He has a big nose, and he lost his dad. And one thing we do before we help anybody is we go to the foundation, to the root. So I asked him, I said, what are your pain points? What are the things that happened to you at a particular time that made you feel bad? She said, well, when I lost my dad, because my dad is my hero. He made me feel like a man and everything. He loves me, he validates me, he doesn't pull me away or push me away. He pulled me to himself and all of that. He said, nah. Another thing that crushed me was when I get to the university and they started nicknaming me Nose. He said my grade drops. I couldn't stand the crowd again. I could not perform again. That thing, and I came into that class, to the university, with a very good result. Now, I said, what was now the result of you being pained and all of that? He said, I started sleeping with prostitutes. I'm telling you the truth. I started sleeping with prostitutes. Because when I go to a prostitute, I'll be accepted and they won't tell me my nose is big until he met with the Savior. What am I saying tonight? When you don't allow, or today, depending on the time you're listening or watching, the moment you look into yourself and you know that your self-worth and self-value had been affected by the way you are being raised by your parents, just know that you need help. Don't leave it. Don't let the sleeping dog, don't let it lie. It will still bark. You are just putting yourself in a difficult place because suddenly the effect is terrible. Your self-esteem, your worth, if you know your worth, you know your value, you will not give your body to any Dick, Dumb and Harry. You will not allow a man to cheat on you and you are still comfortable in that abuse in courtship. Now, don't get me wrong. In marriage, just do therapy. But you are still dating. You are not here. The man has not married you officially. And you could check his phone and you see a lot of girls, pictures. As a matter of fact, the day you try to open his phone, you got a slap and you are not married. Can you excuse yourself? The secret is simple. Your self-esteem has been so damaged, crushed, that is affecting your sexuality as a child. Now, let me round it up by talking to our parents, mothers, fathers in the house. Please do everything in your capacity to watch your language when you are talking to your kids. Stop talking out of anger. Stop lashing out. You are driving them crazy. You are driving them to a place where they're going to expose themselves to sex wrongly. Do you know, I've handled people that struggle with pornography, masturbation, and all of that. And I noticed something, that everyone that watches porn has low self-esteem. I've handled, without not adding up, over 200 clients that are struggling with pornography and masturbation. And I'm telling you that all of them struggles with their self-esteem. So when they are watching porn and they are having sex with porn, they believe that this person believes in me, he likes me, he's not denying me. All of them. I'm trusting shortly that some will come out. Is a movement. This journey to recovery and restoration is a movement. Some people will come out publicly and share their nasty experience on how parenting had messed them up in such a way that they got exposed to sex wrongly, and because of that they got into serious addiction. Some is drugs, but they are using the addiction to medicate a pain that is inflicted in their soul. So whatever it is, no matter where you are, no matter what is happening to you. Now let me digress and quickly tell mothers and fathers here, if you're having issues in your marriage, do post-marital counseling. If you love yourself, if you don't do that, you are going to destroy your children. Do you know that your children will say, if I'm a good girl, if I'm a good boy, dad and mom will not be fighting? And let me say this, you are not preaching to your children with your mouth. They are looking at your life. You are the epistle, you are the book they are opening, chapter by chapter. They are not reading the Bible. Thank God for children's Bible. It's a waste of time. What you do, how you live, resonates more in them than any other thing. If I have anyone with a question, please ask me questions before I leave tonight. But just know clearly that if you don't build your child's self-esteem, he or she will make wrong decisions when it comes to his or her sexuality. He's going to make wrong choices. He's going to watch pornography. He's going to masturbate. He's going to go to the prostitute. Your child will do anything. It does not start at the top. Everything that happens to a child starts from the foundation. Train up a child the way you should go. Somebody is asking, how do you deal with kids whose parents are separated? Wow. Now, we do child's therapy. When a couple has issues and they are separated, or they are going through a divorce, or the mother becomes a single parent, or the father becomes a single parent, we need to do therapy for those children. Listen to me. It's so sad that here, I was sharing with a lady today, she was asking me about that therapy is expensive, so if you don't have money, you cannot do therapy. And I just smiled. I didn't smile, I said, God forbid, if you are sick now and you are told to go to the hospital and they charge you for your medications, are you going to pay or not? She said she will pay. Same here. Is your emotional wounds is worse than physical wounds. When you have a cut, it can be seen. Emotional wounds does more damage than physical cuts. I've seen people that, I was in Dubai to minister some years back, and a 60-year-old man stood up and he was crying like a baby. He had made wrong choices, wrong decisions in his life. I mean, everybody was shocked. And this happened to her when he was young. His mother died, and the village said it was the mom that killed the dad. So they now washed the dead body of the father for the mother to drink. And that man lost it. Totally. He said, I lost it. I became a sex addict. I was everywhere looking for a way to medicate my pain. Because the pain, I watched my mom died of infection. He was crying, sobbing. So that tells you something, that When a child is raised from a dysfunctional home, even if it's death that brought the dysfunctionality, pack those children with yourself. Single parent, pack yourself to therapy. Simple. It's like you are sick, go to the hospital. Now, it's here we don't respect therapy because we feel, we Africans, we take things with levity a lot. I was telling someone, I said, thank God for mercy. Thank God for people that are informed. Thank God for education. Thank God for white people. Africans, it's not fair. Somebody, you lost a friend that is close to you. You need to do therapy to be free from that trauma. There are 3 inlets to sexual struggle. Number 1, the bloodline. Abraham was the bloodline. I can't break it down again. There's a trauma-based addict. Something happened, you were traumatized, rape, death, abuse, any form of trauma, you become addicted. Then addictive society. Those are the 3 inlets to addiction. Trauma. I know what I'm talking about. If something happens to you that crushed you, that messed you up, that shattered you, don't think, oh, it will be fine. It's a lie. It can't go. If you don't treat a physical wound cannot heal. It can't heal. Somebody is asking me, my partner doesn't believe in being intentional about discipline. He believes in flogging and I don't. How do I manage it? I will invite you to join me at Dynamic Parenting webinar. It's dynamic. There are so many things I will teach you. Communication. Your husband and yourself, you need to balance it. Let me say this here. You need to balance that information, that training, how to raise your kids. If you don't balance it, you are going to have 2 parties in your home. Your children will, children are highly manipulative. Maybe you don't know. The moment they know one person is soft, they will level on that, that side that is soft, and you need to warm out to raise your children. So understanding is important. Your communication skill must be developed. Let me say this, some of you are hearing me now. Your husband is the kind of a person that does not want you to touch your child. You are the kind of a person that wants to do gree and beat your child. You better be wise. Calm down. Look for another way. I am intentional with life, and the reason is so simple. The moment you allow your selfishness, the way you are feeling, the anger that is on the inside of you to affect your children, you are the most miserable human being on earth, because you're going to lose both ways. You rather choose to win than lose. So don't lose your children to your selfish, oh, I'm angry, I can't do anything, I can throw tantrums, no. That's why to parent, I want to say, it is mature people that can parent. It's the people that can be married must be matured. If you are not matured, you are a baby, you gave birth to a baby, your baby is a baby, your husband is a baby. How do we solve that problem? It's going to be difficult. So the one that believes in flogging, the one that believes in that believes in discipline, you have to harness your energy together. You have to work as a team. Now, let me say this to balance with this wisdom. The moment your wife is correcting your child, even if you don't like it, shut up. Keep quiet. Don't say anything. Just keep quiet. Let him do what he wants to do. If you're going to say it, that you are not happy, you are not comfortable with whatever has happened, bring it out in another way of wisdom. But at the time, don't say, kill him. You want to kill that child, you better kill him. Don't say that. If you do, you are going to breed serious trouble, breeding rebel, breeding children that are going to be aggressive and violent, and at the end of the day, you don't have a child to yourself. So whatever the case may be, chill, calm down, and let us do something by using wisdom to disseminate that information. I'm going to be teaching that at Dynamic Parental webinar. What age do you do therapy for the children? What if they are 4 and 2? You may not do anything with these children. If you are the one that is from a dysfunctional home and you know the system is dysfunctional, then you set into therapy, not for your children but for yourself. I've seen people that I have not even spoken to the kids, but the children are saying, oh, mom and dad are fine. They are doing well because they are well informed. So it's not the kids. Now, when they become, I mean, these 4 and 2 are moldable, they are teachable, you can still handle them. You have to study them. I was talking to a lady recently. They are going through a divorce, and his son went to see him. And he said, ma, my child does not want me in her space. He's always on his own, blah, blah, blah. What do I do? I just told her, I said, study her. Know what speaks love to him. Study him and know what speaks love to him. She just told me, she said, yes, I noticed that he's always in the kitchen wanting to do chores. Then recently he called me and said he wants to go and help the pastor. I said, that boy, what speaks love to him is act of service. I'm going to break it down when we do dynamic parenting. So you have to note that and know that, okay, so out of your way, go and help him or her to help him. I'm talking about a particular person now. Help him to do chores. His chores. Help him to probably take all his jeans and wash and dry, and let him see you ironing them. That speaks love. The moment you speak what speaks love to someone, the person opens up. It's so simple. But she had to go all the way. So age 4 to no. But when you get a mother to a therapy, the children will be like a parent that is going through a divorce, married to an addictive man or a narcissist, and you're trying to, how do I handle my children? You're going to go into therapy. Your therapist will tell you how to go about it. I had a case recently, the lady that I'm helping to deal with her husband's addiction and narcissism. She said her daughter, they have become an enemy to each other. And I said, no, you can't do that. Prior to that time, she told me, she said, my child was, chatting a guy that is she's just 17, thereabout. I don't give right figures. I'm just trying to mix it up. And the girl was, chatting a guy that is older, and he was chatting and with his dad's phone, and the chat was highly sexual. And she said, we all came on her, we beat her, we insulted her, we harassed her. I said, you are wicked. You are very, very wicked. From the age now, we are talking about the age of sexuality now. When we were growing, I started being exposed to sex when I was like 15, 16. Do you know in this age is 12? You don't want to hear what I hear every day. Some of you will be crying on the program. 12. Proper sexual activity at 12. So your 18-year-old girl or 17-year-old girl is now talking to a guy. The next thing is beating. So what are you trying to say? And 2 of you, she knows your home is not on point. She knows you fight all the time. She knows her daddy is acting out. So why are you confusing a child? If it's in a normal home, that child should be appreciated. You should now take her as a friend to begin to explain to her what it means to have a male friend, for crying out loud. Not that you will put yourself in a place of a judge. And you are just confusing those children, because your life does not speak whatever you are trying to portray. It's a fake life. It's hypocrisy as far as your child is concerned. I was so pained, because now you have given a wrong signal about sexuality to that child, and that is not funny. Watch that girl. She might be pregnant before she leaves the university. God forbid. I'm just telling you, I said she might be pregnant before, because you are supposed to show love, show affection. If a child sees love, have you noticed? I'm a counselor, I'm a married counselor. Do you notice that any child that the father treats well, with a good, solid, sound upbringing, they naturally become a good wife? Because their father, their hero, their love, the first love, which is their dad, makes them to feel special and feel important. So you see them acting well at home, loving their husband, respecting the man. Oh dear, another question here. If kids are okay, I think I've answered that. Well, I think I'm good to go. What's the time? Yeah, I'm good to go. I didn't want to stay long. I want to appreciate everyone tonight for listening to me. I know you have taken in some things. I'm going to have a powerful time on Wednesday. We're going to break narcissistic personality disorder on this program. I'm bringing one of our colleagues, a professor in the university. We're going to have it. I'm going to allow him to break down, because some of you don't understand. He will break it down for you to know what it means, to know what a narcissist is, who is a narcissist, how do they operate, what is their effect on the lives of their spouses and their children. It's going to be a bomb. Please try and share this platform. You can follow me on YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is funkeadetuberu. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so dearly. I would love to see you. Tomorrow is Q&A. I have a lot of questions. Probably I'll just take one and go and rest tomorrow. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye, bye, bye.